Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to talk about RASSIE ERASMUS and his 2024 Springboks side. Again, RASSIE ERASMUS is now back in charge of the Springboks. He was previously in charge in 2019 for that Rugby World Cup. And yeah, again, he's been kind of filling in more of a director role in the interim. But yeah, no, he's now back in charge with Jackie Snaber, of course, going to Leinster. But yeah, again, it's going to be really fascinating to see what RASSIE can do once again, because to be honest, guys, the Springboks are now they're kind of going into a new age at the moment. And again, yes, the side that I may come up with today will kind of comprise of most of the players we saw in this recent Rugby World Cup. But at the same time, as the months go on and the years go on, we're going to see a lot of changes in this box side. And it's pretty fascinating because, again, there's a lot of players who were on the fringe of making this side, but just missed out, unfortunately. But again, another thing to kind of keep in mind is that the age of these players, like a lot of these players are aging, and it's getting to a point where, a lot of these players will be hitting their 35, 36 age, and will they be available for that next World Cup in Australia? I don't know. But again, for the meantime, we'll just go over the team, which I believe RASSIE will pick for 2024. But before we do so, make sure to like the video, guys. Subscribe to our channel. And yeah, let's go straight into this. So as you can see right here, this is the front row that I've selected here for the box and what I believe RASSIE will go with. It's kind of the standard SA front row, in terms of Stephen Kitsoff number 1, Malcolm Marx number 2, and Frans Malherbe number 3. Again, I don't think you can really change this front row at the moment. Again, yeah, there is definitely a conversation maybe for Oxton Che, because he had a very impressive World Cup, to say the least. But I feel he's still seen as more of an impact player. And again, yeah, he is younger than Stephen Kitsoff, so maybe that's a transition that RASSIE might look into. But I mean, it just feels harsh to put Stephen Kitsoff on the bench because Oxton Che has been doing pretty well off that. He's part of that bomb squad, and if you change that formula, then I don't know. Will it change much in terms of the results? I don't know, but I think for the meantime, Kitsoff is. I still think the guy that Box will look to, and what RASSIE will prefer for the meantime in terms of that loose head prop. But yeah, in terms of the tight head prop, of course, Frans Malherbe, again, he's aging as well, and yeah, another player who. He had very on and off moments, let's say, throughout the Super World Cup, throughout the recent one. Again, he gave a lot of penalties away. Not going to deny that. But at the same time, he's very instrumental in terms of what the Box Rippers will achieve in terms of those scrums. So, yeah, it goes 50-50, I'd say, in terms of him. But again, in terms of looking at a successor, I mean, there's not really a lot of players who stand out because, again, you have to think. I'm thinking this more in terms of younger players. And I mean, there's really Vincent Koch, I guess you could say. There's maybe Thomas Dutoy if you wanted to, because he's 28 years old. But yeah, I think for the meantime, in terms of 2024, I think a lot of these players can still play. So I'm going to stick with that kind of prop pairing with Kitsoff and Frans Malherbe. But yeah, in terms of Malcolm Marx, I think he has to come back into the side. I mean, just imagine if the Box had him as our hooker. I mean, maybe I'm not saying much would have changed because, again, yeah, the Box, I still believe, would have won the Rugby World Cup. Again, that's up for a conversation there. But, I mean, Malcolm Marx is just, I mean, I still consider him as the best hooker in the world. So for the Box not to play him for the majority of the tournament, it was impressive by itself. But, again, not to overshadow what Dion Fourie did, and as well as, Bongi Manombi. But, yeah, Malcolm Marx is just he's just a different level, I think, compared to them two. And yeah, just you had a lot of quality towards the side, particularly from those lineouts. Yeah, just a really good player on the ball. Is able to find really good within the breakdown. Actually, really good within the breakdown. And yeah, just knows how to score tries. So yeah, Malcolm Marx has to be there in terms of that front row. But yeah, anyway, moving on then towards the lock pairing here. In terms of the lock pairing, I've gone with the lock pairing we saw mostly throughout the Rugby World Cup, which was Eben Smith and Franco Mostert. I think this is one of those pairings where you can't change for the meantime because both players are 32 years old. And that's where I pop the question once more, you can make a decision maybe closer to the Rugby World Cup if that's the two you go with. Because, again, I saw comments with, RASSIE saying he doesn't think Eben Smith may be available for the next World Cup. Again, that's still up for debate. We'll see what happens there because you never know. A lot of players have stepped up. We've seen, Bongi, not Bongi. We've seen Dion Fourie, of course. We've seen Dwayne Vermeulen. So a lot of these players have really kind of stepped up, even at an older age. But yeah, he doesn't, for some reason, he doesn't think Eben Smith is in that category. So we'll see what happens there. But again, Frank Mostert has to be in that. Again, in terms of the competitors for that spot, I mean, you have RJ Steinman, who's still, I think, 28, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he's probably the one I can definitely see taking Eben Smith's place. And then yeah, who else is there? There's John Klein, of course, who's come in. Yeah, he's another player. There's Marvin Ori, if you wanted to, but again, he's kind of aging. Is anyone else I'm forgetting? There's I think that's kind of the gist of it. But, Lord Diego as well. But again, he's still one of those players who he has to kind of come back into the side now following that injury he had. But still a very good player to have. But anyway, moving on towards the loose forwards here. We're going to go with Sid Khaleesi at number 6. We're going with Peter at the Toy at number 7. And Jasper Wiese at number 8. And that comes with no surprise, really, I think, for most people. Again, with Dwayne Vermeulen obviously now officially retired and, yeah, just kind of hanging up his boots. Yeah, Jasper Wiese just slots in there pretty nicely, I think. He's kind of got that experience now in the Rugby World Cup. I thought he was pretty impressive in terms of the games he was, in terms of the minutes he was, just allowed to play in. That Scotland game is, I know maybe I refer to it a lot, but that he was just so good in that game. And again, whenever he was needed, he came off the bench. But yeah, just a good player overall, and definitely someone I can see the box building off in terms of that kind of loose, the loose heads, not loose heads, sorry, in terms of that back row there. But yeah, it's one of those where we'll see what happens, because it's like with Khaleesi, he's 32 years old. I think Peter Toy is 32, if I'm not mistaken. So those two players will be 36 by the next World Cup, and it'll be fascinating to see if they can kind of just be available. I mean, I would like to think Khaleesi. I'm hoping he can be available, because he's just him alone. He's just just a leader of the team, of course, and he's just so instrumental towards what the Boks can do. And I mean, him coming back from injury just before the Rugby World Cup was a big thing for the Boks. Like, if we didn't have Sia Khaleesi, then yeah, I don't think the Boks would have I don't think they would have won the World Cup. I think he's that crucial. Like, he brings the team together. He kind of gels it. That's what you need in a leader, and he's exactly that. But again, there is obviously replacements for him if it was needed with Marco van Staden, or I don't know, you can shift Peter to the Toys. There's Quagga Smith if needed, or Dion Foree. So yeah, there's a lot of players you can go with. But again, Peter at the Toy, sensational tournament, man of match, I believe, in that final. Well, I think he was man of the match in that final. He was just just tackling just was off the charts, and just someone who the Boks I think everyone around the world understands how good Peter Toy is. Probably the best tackler. I don't know if that's I think he's up there in terms of the best tacklers in the world, arguably number 1. But you definitely want to have him in your side. But yeah, I like that loose forward trio a lot. But yeah, we'll see what happens in kind of the near future. I think for the meantime, RASSIE will go with that. I just think you got to go with them free, but you never know. There could be switches in and out. There's Quagga Smith, there's Marco van Staden, there's a lot of good players there. I mean, Quagga Smith was just amazing. I mean, he's my favorite. He's literally my favorite. I think he's my favorite forward, if I had to say one out of all the Boks. He's my favorite forward, hands down. In terms of the backs, I'd probably say, gosh, who's my favorite back? There's a lot. I mean, I like Makani. I think Makani is probably my favorite. But yeah, look, in terms of the let's go to the back line then. Let's go to the back line. So we're going towards the 9-10 combination here. I mean, in terms of 9-10, I think it's pretty set in stone. It's now going to be Faf Kirk and Andre Pollard once again. Andre Pollard obviously coming back in the middle of the tournament, to say the least. Kind of came clutch for the Boks. 100% accuracy in terms of his kicking. And yeah, that's exactly what the Boks needed to kind of power the way through the kind of the quarterfinal, the semi-final, and the final, winning by 1 point. So, I mean, that all came down towards Hodger Pollard's kicking. So, yeah, he was definitely crucial for us in that sense. And yeah, again, you have someone like Manny Libbok, kind of got a lot of good experience, to say, from this Rugby World Cup, and something that he can definitely develop, because he'll be around 30 years old, if I'm not mistaken, by the next World Cup. So yeah, he's a long time to go. He'll obviously be in the side no matter what. But with Andre Pollard still kind of up there, he's only 29 still, Andre Pollard. So he definitely has another World Cup in him. So it's crazy to think. But we have the Boks are very fortunate to have two very, very good 10s in that sense. Andre Pollard is definitely a world-class 10, no doubt about that. Manny Libbok is definitely he's slowly getting away into that category, I think. I'm not saying he's world-class. I just think he's getting into that category where he's become a world-class player. But again, with Flapper Kirk, I think there's a lot of 9 options that the Boks can go with. Flapper Kirk is 32, if I'm not mistaken, as well. There's a lot of 32-year-olds in this side. But again, he's just someone who really transformed the Boks in terms of that scrum half position, because he's just great with his kicking. And again, he's very different compared to the likes of what Kobus Radek, who's again, I think he's 33, if I'm not mistaken, 1 year older than Flaff. And there's Herschel Yankees, there's Jen Hendrickse, there's Grant Williams. So yeah, there's a lot of choices there. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe RASSIE tries to switch it up in that position because, like I said, there's a lot of choices he can go with. But for the meantime, I think the most comparable kind of 9-10 combination is Flaff Leclerc and Andre Pollard. But anyway, in terms of the center combination here for the Boks, I think you got to go with Dimi Delunde. He was just magnificent, really, just throughout the Rep World Cup. He is really like this he's a battering ram really for the Boks, and he was so good in terms of his his passing game, but also just gaining meters. Again, he wasn't Bundy Yaki was up there as probably the best in terms of gaining meters, but hey, Dimi Delunde wasn't too far off him. Definitely in the conversation maybe, but yeah, Dimi Delunde, just a great player to have in your side. And yeah, he just he doesn't really let you down a lot of times, and he's really progressed as a player. So no, I've really enjoyed watching him, and he definitely deserves to be in. I think he's what can be 33 now. If I could be wrong with that. I think he'll be 33. He's 33 right now. I actually forgot the age he is. Actually, let me know in the comments because actually that's the one I'm missing his age. I can't think about top of my head, but again, his partner in crime, I do believe has to be Lekanyiwan. But I just think he'll come back into the side now, get back into that world class player that we all know he is, and just kind of transform the Boks from the back line perspective, and just open up plays, break the line, break the defenses. That's what Lekanyiwan does. So he is definitely going to be up in the 13 for the next World Cup. I believe. I think he can still be available for that one. Again, would not be surprised if the Boks wanted to maybe switch it up. What we saw Yakis maybe do and put Andre Sazen as the 12 and Caden Moody as the 13. That looked pretty. It was a nice combination. Really, it was a really good combination actually against the All Blacks before the Rep World Cup started. But we'll see if that kind of is used a bit more within RASSIE's era once again. But for the meantime, I think Dimi Delunde and Lekanyiwan just makes a bit more sense. But in terms of the wingers, to finish off this and the fullback that I've gone with here in terms of what I believe RASSIE will choose, I think it'll stick with Cheslin Kobe and Curtly Lorenza. Again, I think vice versa if you needed. It's not really up for debate in terms of who has to play where. Again, they kind of switch around anyway between the games, so it's not really like a set in stone thing. But Cheslin Kobe, just a ton of experience under his belt. He'll be, I think he's 30 now, so he'll be around 34 by the time the next World Cup happens. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets selected or not. He's definitely in the conversation up for debate because again, you have like someone like Mpimpi who's like I think 33 now, if I'm not mistaken, so he won't be available for selection. And Cheslin Kobe I think could be available. Again, you have Curly Lorenzo on the other side. He can play at both wings if needed. Caden Moody, I've already said, he is a very young prospect. Really. Yeah, he is something anyway. He's going to be he'll be a bright spark for the Boks in terms of that back line for the future. But for the meantime, I would still stick with Cheslin Kobe and Curtly Lorenza in terms of what I believe RASSIE will go with. Just because I think RASSIE, I'd be very surprised if he changes that combination from the very start. Because I think you let it happen, and then over time, that's when you can put Caden Moody in, or you can put, Grant Williams if you needed, or any other player like Jesse Krill or Williams, whoever you want to put in that position. But for the meantime, I think RASSIE will stick with Cheslin Kobe and Curly Lorenza. But in terms of that 15 spot, you've got to go to Dimi Williams. It's an obvious now with obviously Willie LaRue not going to be available by the time the next World Cup happens. So he's another player who won't be really in the conversation. And Williams will step up there with ease. I think again. Kind of thinking in terms of backup for him. There's also going to be Work Gallant. There's who else? There's Curran Bosch is someone I took a look at. He's someone who's 26, he'll be 30 by the next World Cup. He can be definitely a good deputy, I'd say, towards Williamson in terms of coming off the bench. He's played 10 before, 10, 15. Bosch is someone I really like. I've always enjoyed watching Bosch. So he's someone I would say he's not in the Springbok team at the moment, but I'd like to see him get introduced into it. But anyway, that is the 15 there that I believe RASSIE will go with when 2024 hits off and the RASSIE era starts once again. But let me know in the comments, obviously, what you guys think RASSIE will go with in terms of the starting 15 and also for the bench if you want to as well. Like the video, guys. Would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video. Subscribe to our channel if you guys haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time.